A few seconds, let more people get here. If you guys see it's raining right now in Miami slash Fort Lauderdale. So, a little annoying because I don't get to walk, but it's all right. Hey, Jemmy, is it Jimmy or Jemmy? How's it going? Where are you from, by the way? I think I seen it on your LinkedIn once, but I don't remember. But all right, guys, thank you for playing up. Today we're gonna be talking about getting out of the tutorial trap, especially more specifically the iOS dev tutorial trap. All right, let's see. Jamie. Jamie. Is that the correct way? I hope so. I hope so. All right. Oh, Pakistan. Wow. Are you're there right now? That's pretty cool. I haven't been to that part of the world yet. One of these days. Hey, Anthony's in here. And so is Jamie. All right. You said you'd like to join me, like be here on the side, like as a guest. Maybe I'll do those one of those actually one of these days, but right now we're going to be talking about getting out of the iOS dev tutorial trap slash hell. People, that's what people call it, right? The tutorial trap. And it's something that I feel like it happens to everyone. Not happens to everyone, but the thing is like tutorials aren't bad, right? Like it's not like watching a tutorial is a bad thing, but it's like getting stuck in that tutorial space, the tutorial space, and not eventually going out and building something on your own. That's what that's what the trap is, right? Because when that happens, you basically miss out on a lot of experience you would gain if you were venturing off on your own and just trying to build something from scratch. Because in a tutorial, you're like your hand is held right, and the person walks you through it, which at the beginning is helpful, but after you know a little bit, you kind of have to go out on your own because ultimately, what being a developer is like being able to solve complex problems, right? And you're not always gonna have somebody with a tutorial to solve a problem with for you, right? Life isn't like that. Although it would be great, right? Like anytime you have a problem, you can just look up a tutorial. And we're getting there. It's getting close, right? With all the resources on YouTube and like on the internet. But being able to problem solve and just build something on your own without being held, like your handheld, that's super important as a developer. All right, so based on and another thing that I want to say about that part is it's not about memorizing it either, right? Like you don't have to please don't try to memorize everything because that's also not the solution. The solution is just to practice the problem solving part of things where you run into an issue that you haven't seen before and you figure out a way to get it working. That is the bread and butter. All right. There are things you can memorize. And I mean, if you do something repeatedly, you'll eventually memorize it. But the goal is not to memorize. The goal is to understand pretty much. Yeah. I would say the goal is to understand. All right. And based off of that, where do you go? Right. So where do you start? Like, because maybe you are in the tutorial trap or the tutorial hell, right? And you're like, dang, I need to make an app then, right? I need to start. And you might be thinking, all right, I'm gonna build LinkedIn or I'm gonna build the Twitter clone or something like that, right? But I believe the best way to go is just start small, especially if this is if you're just leaving tutorial hell, which is an interesting thing to say. Like it's funny to say. But if you're trying to venture off and start building things on your own, I would say start small. And excuse me, I have to burp. Sorry. Yeah, so I would say start small. And what does that look like? I mean, to-do list is a great example, right? You hear it over and over again. And I mean, it is like you're not building something new and it's something that's already been done, but going through that process and building it out on your own is gonna be super helpful. Like just that experience alone will teach you a lot. So that's one way to go. And you don't have to do to-do list. Like I can list a few apps ideas that I thought of while I was thinking about this. There's a to-do list which is the like go-to. There's a weather app, another go-to. There's an expense tracker, a fitness tracker, um, a recipe app, like something to host or store recipes for foods. And now you could even do like something with ChatGPT, like an app that uses the ChatGPT API, and you can do some generative AI stuff. And those are just some ideas, and you can feel free to take one of those if you want. And those you don't have to limit yourself to those, but I feel like those are like pretty simple. I mean, you can make it very complicated if you want, but if you try to just go like simple with those, you could get something. And if you don't like any of those, I would really suggest you think about the things you like outside of development, like your hobbies or whatever. Like maybe you like, for example, I mean, I already mentioned fitness, but if you like going to the gym or fitness, then you could do a fitness tracker. Or if you like, maybe if you have a dog or something, maybe you can make something related to your pet. And those are just some ideas. And once you have an idea, right, it's like where do you go? And I'm gonna actually share my screen. So let me move this window and present, share screen. Ah, well, this is I should have tested this because I don't think I gave access to. Oh, it doesn't have access to share screen, so this is gonna. It says I have to quit and reopen. I we will be. I think we'll be. Well, I'm gonna have to end the stream and come back. I'll be right back, y'all. Do not leave. All right, do not leave. I'll be right back. All right. Hello. I'm back. I'm back, y'all. And I'll address the comments in the section. Thank you, everybody who pulled up. Thank you, Luisa. I believe I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you, Robert, again. And if you're watching, say something in the chat. Right now, I'll be going through on once you have like an idea of what you want to build, where do you go from there? So, all right, I'm sharing my screen now. Now we need to. So there's this app. I mean, this app. There's this website called Dribble, which I think some of you may be aware of, and it's a great resource for UI and like design inspiration. So, for example, let's say you wanted a to-do list. Let's see where we're going with the to-do list. To-do list app. You put that in here, and you'll get a whole bunch of designs, and you can use these as inspiration. You can go through and look at something you like. So let's say we're interested in something like this. You like maybe you like this part, maybe you like that part, and you can just grab, like take a screenshot, grab what the things that you like from them and save that. And let's see to do app. All right. This one looks kind of cool. We have here the tabs. I would be careful with the custom tabs. Um, I Apple and like Swift UI doesn't work. I mean, you can do it, but it gets complicated once you start building your project further, like a bigger project. But yeah, going through something like this and just grabbing the inspiration, and using that for the app that you're gonna build, right? Because this is gonna be your first. What's up, Bryce? What's up, Kana? I'm sorry, it's a long name. But yeah, so you take whatever, whichever you like, whichever inspirations fits you, or whichever design inspires you, and you can just screenshot it or save the link. And then what I like to do is because if you're using Swift UI, you can really just go into Swift UI and just start trying to make something like this. So let's say if you wanted to do something like this, right? Where this is like a task manager, you can go in Swift UI and you could start creating like a view like this using mock stuff, mock data. And based off that, you can start coming up with different screens and like the functionality you want in the app. And you do that. And from there you can if you keep doing that, then you eventually have an app, basically. There's a lot of steps involved, of course, but taking the design, it gives you something to start, and you'll see it built out. And then from the designs part, then you have to actually figure out where you're gonna grab the data. And you can use things like Swift data, core data. Maybe you want to use a backend for this project, but if it's your first one, you should try not to overcomplicate things. That's why I say keep it simple. And when you run into road, because you'll run into issues, right? You start trying to build, let's say we try to build something like this. Maybe with the UI stuff, you're perfectly fine, right? But then when it comes to the data, you're like, what do I do? And that's when you start like go on Google, Stack Overflow, and maybe even YouTube. You can just look up with the problem you're having. So let's say this is all stored in Swift data. You can say how to store, like you can look up a video on Swift data, like how it works and how to get started, because you need to be able to insert, delete, and update pretty much, and fetch. So find out how to do those and then start implementing that in your project. And then that should help you be able to build like a screen like this. And then based on what other functionality you decide to build in your app, you can look things up that you can look up roadblocks that come up. All right. What website is that? This is dribble.com. Dribble with 3 B's. Dribble. I believe you have to just create an account when you want to search something, but it's free. Like it's free to use. I believe they have a premium feature. And the second thing I use for inspiration for UI is I just go on the App Store. So you just pull up your phone and go on the App Store and just look up apps that are similar to what you want to do. So if you want to do a to-do list, you you look up to-do lists on the App Store, and you just take small pieces of apps that you like. So I mean, I'm not gonna go through this now because then you guys would just be looking at me go through my phone. But you look at those like the top 5 apps, and you can just take just small pieces that you like and incorporate those in your app. And oh yeah, that's how I would do it for my initial like trying to get out of tutorial trap. Is just go with something simple. Maybe a to-do list, maybe a recipe app, something that that you would use or at least find somewhat interesting. You don't have to love the idea because it's just again, it's like for learning experience. And like I said earlier, do something small. Don't try to build. I mean, you could try to be ambitious, right? Like it's always cool to be like try to be ambitious. Like I'm gonna build Twitter. I'm gonna build the next Snapchat or something, right? But and that'll be you kind of well, you don't set yourself up for it, but it's you can really overwhelm yourself trying to do that since you're just starting off. And starting with something small will help you like build up to that. Because maybe after you build like a to-do list app, then you can upgrade and be like, maybe after that you can try to swing and make like a whole social networking app. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for today. And one thing I wanted to note for like if you wanted to do a big portfolio project, I would say you should incorporate around two or three things. The first thing, it should have like some sort of data persistence. The second thing is I'd recommend it interact with like an API or maybe like Firebase or Superbase, something like that. And the third thing is maybe some notifications. Maybe try to play around with that. The notifications aren't mandatory, but something like that. And you build something with like those three components and put it on the App Store. That'll be really good for your portfolio and for you just to talk about on the in the interview process. Yeah. All right, guys. Do you have any before I open the floor for questions, um, make sure there's another live stream on Friday. You guys pull up. It's at 11. Yeah, it should be at Friday at 11. And also, I have mini coaching sessions if you guys are interested. If you guys want to become an iOS developer, I'm doing some free coaching sessions, so you guys can book that. The link is in my LinkedIn and also Twitter bio. But all right, let's see. Superbase is so good. Superbase is pretty fire. It's pretty fire. I've been enjoying using it. Hey, Vadim. Hey, Bryce. What's up? What's up? I'm opening the floor for any questions you guys might have before we wrap up. Did I miss anybody's comment? Hey, Kana Gas. I'm sorry, bro. That's a hard name to pronounce. Shout out to Bryce. He's an iOS developer. He went through the journey just this past year. And he's gonna be on. He's been on the iOS Dev podcast before, but he's gonna be on a new one coming out in the future, probably early next year. No date yet on that. All right, guys. Anybody have any questions? Shoot at me. Shoot at me. Because I'll keep the live going up until 11:20. A more detail about Superbase storage buckets. Yeah, that's something I didn't cover in the big Superbase video. Because it was already 7 hours. But I'll look into it. I'm working on the Superbase project right now. Maybe I'll try to incorporate some storage, or maybe I'll just make a small video using the Superbase storage. Should we also consider an open source project? That's a really good. That's really good. I feel like that's after you get out of the tutorial trap. Then you can start looking at open source projects because that's a great way to learn about a lot of things, not just like development, but it gives you like a little mini work experience because you're working on it in an open source project. You're working with a project that's going to have multiple developers. You're going to be cloning from or forking from the repo and pushing, making PRs. So that'll be really good experience. And it just looks good on your resume. It gives you something to talk about as well in the interviews. If you need some open source projects that you want to work on, I think there's a link on, or if you look up iOS open source project GitHub, I think you can find a list of a whole bunch of open source projects. But all right, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. I didn't want to keep you guys here too long. I thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a good day. See you guys on Friday. We're gonna be back here Friday at 11. And also, what else? What else? What else? A book a mini book a mini booking a mini coaching session if you guys are interested in becoming an iOS developer. We can book a session. I can help you guys out with any issues. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.